Hello, everyone, and hi, Ananya. Thank you so much for joining and participating in our initiative. Today at Swabhiman, for our interview section, we will be talking about our upcoming issue, focusing on gender and education for our newsletter of the October edition at Avrohana. And we have Miss Ananya talking about the intersection of gender and education through the initiative that she's a part of in her university. So, just a little bit about Miss Ananya. Ananya Mehta is a third year undergraduate student at Lady Irwin College, University of Delhi. She is currently pursuing a Bachelor's of Science in Home Science with a specification in Human Development and Childhood Education, along with a minor degree in Psychology. She is also the president of the Gandhi Studies Circle at her college, and along with her team, they have conducted events to promote the Gandhian ideologies in the modern world through the expression of art and literature. Recently, along with the Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Samiti Ministry of Culture, their society conducted an event on the Swachh Bharat mission. Ananya is a firm believer that we as young change makers have a great platform where we can inspire and lead others towards a better and equal future. So, just beginning with the interview, I will start with the first question. As president of the Gandhi Studies Circle, how do you view the role of educational institutions in addressing gender inequality? And do you believe they are doing enough to challenge the systemic biases?
Okay, thank you so much for the question and the lovely introduction. Before I begin with the question, I am really grateful for the opportunity and I hope we have a fruitful interview here. So, to answer the first part of your question, talking about the educational institutions in addressing gender inequality, I believe any institution and rather moreover educational institutions, they are the crux of the solution to any problem that we come onto, right? Because education also gives us power to understand and also it acts as a source of freedom, because to know is to grow, right? So at the same time, while we take into account the changes that have been made over time and how education altogether has changed, like 5 years from now, there was nothing known as gender studies. Like the way we study it now, it wasn't the same, I believe. And also, the initiatives that are taken by schools and colleges these days to understand the entire spectrum of gender altogether, to be more inclusive, right? That has also taken place. But somehow, somewhere, while we talk about the inequality, I believe it still exists. It exists because we are sticking to textbooks and not implementing it outside the classrooms. We sit together, we study a particular topic in understanding what equality is, how one must see it, how we as students need to understand it, but we leave it in the classroom. We don't take it beyond. let's be I'll be very honest with you. The problem of bullying and harassment and inequality still pretty much exists. It's not like a minute issue altogether, it's pretty deep rooted. And another thing to answer is the bias is also created, I believe, is because of how we're teaching. I'm not particularly pointing out educators or professors or teachers in general. Everyone is doing their best, but I feel the way we are portraying the information to students and rather younger children is also to be seen. Like, I'll give you a very basic example. When I was young, my first interaction with inequality was how a child was taught about household chores. Now in a school, very unintentionally also, teachers, when they're teaching, when we're teaching chores or we're trying to tell the child the responsibilities in a household, we refer to all the household chores by our mother's name, that the mother is doing this at the house, the mother is in the kitchen, the mother is cleaning, but the father is the one that's going out and earning the bread. That was my first, I would say, instance of inequality, where where I felt that that wasn't fair, and that is still being taught to students. And I feel we are also confiding to it very unintentionally, that also does pose as a threat. So to answer the question, I very much believe that while we're working towards a lot of initiative to reduce the inequality, we're somehow feeding it at the same time.
Right, that actually like sums up a lot of like systemic like institutional problems that exist. But what are your thoughts on like whether enough is being done to challenge these biases?
So to challenge these systematic biases, I would say, uh, if enough is being done is a very big question, because, like I said, repeating my point, we unintentionally are feeding into it. We somehow do not realize the things that we're saying and the things that we're portraying also poses as a threat. Now, making different institutions and colleges just for a particular group, like women's colleges or girls school, we are just trying to separate the whole problem altogether. We're not addressing it. We're rather just suppressing it and just letting it go by. I feel a lot of institutions need to also come forward and also inculcate the strength within all of us, like even younger students, that they need to come out and be be more responsible. That what they're learning, they have to implement it to make it safe and better for everyone around. I hope that answers your question when we're talking about biases.
Yes, yes. Actually, like it makes a lot of sense because talking about institutional biases, it also percolates into higher education institutions like colleges and many universities, which, like, because of what we see in a casual day, it percolates into those societies as well. So, this brings me to my next question actually. So, in your experience, how do gendered expectations influence student participation and leadership within the college societies? And the second part of the question is, what are the changes that you would like to see to foster a more inclusive environment in the future?
Okay, so to answer your first part, I'm a third year student at Lady Irwin College, and I've come across many girls. I've come across brilliant and ambitious girls who have so much zeal to do so much. It's amazing to see that there are so many people out there who want to take great initiative to do great things. But I have also come across those same students going through a burden of expectations. What is influencing a lot of participation these days in societies is that the students some way are made to feel that their education will be hampered if they take up leadership roles or responsibilities beyond their classroom, right? Another instance I feel feeds into that is, since a very long time, since we're such a large community in a college, right? We come from various backgrounds and various places altogether, but when we're together, we're working towards the same goal. But at the same time, I feel particular students are burdened with the fact that if I don't excel, or if I am not the topper of my class, then I am not doing something right. If I put 2% of my attention to extracurricular activities where I can excel and I can actually achieve great things, if I do that at the cost of my education, at the cost of not being 100%, then I'm not doing something right. I feel the biggest factor of being, I have to do it right, I have to be perfect, I have to be a great student. I feel that also, puts a lot of pressure into participation altogether. And moreover, the changes that, like, I would like to foster when it comes to that is to have a very transparent feedback, to and fro, where the student or the volunteer should not feel that they are under pressure to perform and do everything well, that they have to be perfect at whatever they are doing. And also another thing was to actively offer equal opportunity. not to confine to the hierarchy that you have to listen to your seniors, that you only have to do what they're telling you. Have a team. Like I said, while we're all focusing on the same goal, let's work together as a team. I feel while the word team is very short, it has a lot of meaning to it. And to understand that meaning and to allow other young students to become leaders in future, we have to create an equal opportunity, a path that they also feel they've contributed to. Another thing is to, promote recognition of the work that they do, recognition of the sacrifices they make to get that work done. I think these little things also foster a very holistic environment for each one of us to excel, because at the end of the day, no project, no initiative can be done by one single person. So when it comes to my society in general, every day the initiative has been to make everyone feel welcome and make them feel as an equal contributor. If that answers your question.
Yes, yes, that pretty much does. Like talking about that, we're basically talking about transformation in a more social and a societal sense rather than in more official senses, that it needs to begin from a ground level. And that actually like adds up a lot of value to the work that we are planning to do, because you've been talking about how we need to bring these changes beyond the classroom, beyond our textbooks, which is extremely essential. And that actually brings me to my next question, which talks about this transformation, but in a more niche sense as to how it can be brought up. So, Gandhi emphasized the importance of education as a means of social transformation. So, how do you see his philosophy applied in today's educational context, particularly in promoting gender equity?
So to answer Gandhi's emphasis, now talking about Mahatma Gandhi. Now we've all heard his name. We're all, accustomed, and we all understand who he was and what his contributions were. And no situation is ever black or white. There's so much more into it, right? Repeating what I had mentioned earlier, I am a very firm believer that when we educate ourselves, when we take it upon ourselves that we have to be knowledgeable, we also become warriors for change. Because we've taken it upon ourselves that I will learn, that I will understand, so that I can help myself and others in many ways, right? So, knowledge and education both give you the freedom and the power to help yourself and help others. Now, talking about Gandhiji's emphasis on education, he spoke about Nai Talim, which meant basic education for all. In that, he spoke about that education will give you the strength to, be aware, to be a great contributor in society, and also be responsible. It teaches us values of being self resilient. In a time such as today, we really have to be resilient for a lot of things, right? And especially for young adults, college going kids altogether, there is a new different life that we come on to. And we have to understand how our responsibilities also shift. Now, talking about the educational context that is applied today, I believe focusing on the question like gender sensitivity training, and also talking about how we need to be inclusive, and going back on the same thing, that giving hands-on experience to students, like how do we use the knowledge we have, and how can we combat those issues. And let's be very honest, reading something and then doing something is very different. When we put it out into the practical world, then only we understand how to combat that issue and how to see things through. So and also the thing about promoting gender equity, I would say, going back on the thing, being more collaborative, you know collaborating with different teams, coming across different people, and having a larger group to work a different goal, and understanding, how to put across, repeating my point again, I'm sorry, how to put across the things we've learned. Because let's be very honest, we've all learned, uh, if I can say this in Hindi, satya ki marg pe chalna, hinsa na karna. But somehow we're coming across so much these days, and it's so beyond what we see in textbooks, right? So we need to really try and put ourselves out there and also understand how we can be helpful to others.
Yes, thank you so much for that. I think it's a very impactful input from your side. And I believe that I actually agree with you that when it comes to the practical application of things, no matter what you learn in school or what you learn through your books, it's very difficult to apply it in real life, especially when it comes to gender equity and intersecting gender and education together, because education usually it's limited to what we just read, but not what we actually end up applying as we see in our houses or institutions and otherwise. And when you talked about Satya being one of the values that Gandhi had, eloquently proposed, I would like to ask you that how do you think Gandhi's ideas about non-violence and truth together can help create a more supportive educational environment for the marginalized genders?
Okay, so understanding the ideas of nonviolence and truth altogether, they go beyond the physical realm. So you so when I say non-violence beyond the physical realm, I also mean no discrimination towards any community, any religion, no no bias towards a particular gender, or taking away the emphasis from the truth. Because when we take on to the negative side, we also make a very negative environment where people are afraid to voice their concerns, where they feel they are not welcome. And I feel Gandhi's philosophy also, in a way, encourages openness. To be true to yourself is a way to be true to others, where, we need to come up with an environment where they can express themselves, and also, again, focusing on the fact that we, in a way, carve a path for others also to express themselves. Right? We've come across so many instances and so many cases that even after having the best of education, best of opportunities, things like harassment, having stereotypical biases, and being bullied because we come from a certain background, or we come from a certain, I would say, we have varying perspectives, is still, looked down upon. Right? So, for the marginalized genders, when we take it upon ourselves not to be violent with our opinions, we also carve a way for them to voice their concerns. You're giving them a voice in a way, you're acting as a supporter and not letting it go by like that. You're not silencing their concerns, rather, you are being a friend, you're being a warrior and putting it out there that to be yourself, to express yourself is the truth, and to be truthful to yourself is very important.
Yes, so speaking of being more open and accepting of the needs of the marginalized communities, and talking about education in that way also as to how as a tool it can help, in what ways can the principles of Gandhi inspire these innovative approaches to curriculums, developments in schools and colleges, according to you?
Okay, so to talk about the curriculum development in schools and colleges, when we go back to our time in school, how we were taught principles of Mahatma Gandhi were not to be violent, not to say things that are hurtful, to be honest, and to always walk on the path of truth. Now, as we grow older, we understand that while these terms seem very wide, while they seem very simple, there is so much that goes into it. Right? As we grow older, we understand that walking on the path of truth also means that we have to be very strong. We have to be very strong to say our truth and also listen to the truth of others. Right? As we grow older, we also understand that while I can't change the world around me, if I change myself first, then I have the capability to change three more people around me. Right? Change for a better reason. When it comes to implementing or development of curriculum altogether, programs such as community service, gender sensitivity, talking having workshops, and like daily practical classes on understanding how we are contributing to the community, like what initiatives, or rather allowing students to have student led initiatives and practice them in communities where there is need. Right? We've also seen a lot of schools and a lot of colleges and societies also, like national service scheme units and other societies, taking initiative in teaching students the the importance of giving, the importance of helping. Right? So another thing for addressing the deep rooted biases is to have proper programs where professors and teachers take it upon themselves also to help the students understand how they are the change makers. Right? Like I am a very firm believer that our generation, we are to be the leaders of tomorrow. Right? We have to make the change. So we also have to take it upon ourselves that for change to happen, we also have to do a lot of things. So enforcing the idea of an equal society, and at the same time taking it on ourselves to bring out initiatives that would do that, including a lot more of practical aspect of understanding, exploring, and also meeting different people, will also teach us how essential it is to understand that there is so much that goes into our lives every day. Right? And the earth is made up of so many people. So to understand that, to appreciate that, I think it starts in our schools and our colleges, and that will help us become a better human being. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, yes, that summed up all the questions actually, like talking about self-resilience, inclusivity, and how diversity itself can help, foster a more cohesive environment where people can express themselves and have that level of comfort. Thank you so much, Ananya. This was an extremely enriching discussion upon gender and education, and it's really commendable the work you are doing through the Gandhi Studies Circle. And thank you so much for participating with Avrohana's Swabhiman's initiative on gender and education. It was really lovely having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All the best. And I really had a great time talking to you. All the best to your
Likewise.
team.
Thank
And
you
it's a
so
lovely initiative, and I'm glad I could be a part of this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Best
so
of
much.
luck to you too.
Thank you so much. See you.
Thank you.